Okay, let's dive right in. For years, we've thought about cybersecurity like building a fortress, right? Bigger walls, stronger gates. But what happens when the biggest threat isn't trying to get in anymore because it's already inside? And what if it's not even human? Yeah, we're talking about AI, and it's forcing us to completely rethink, well, everything.
And that's where this quote really hits home. You've heard it a million times, right? Humans are the weakest link in security. Well, that might not be true for much longer. According to the experts, the very AI agents we're building to help us could become our biggest vulnerability, operating at a speed and scale that we just can't keep up with.
All right, so first up, let's talk about this new kind of insider threat, and more importantly, why the old security playbook just isn't cutting it anymore.
So for decades, the name of the game was what we called defense in depth. And honestly, it's a pretty simple idea. Picture a castle with a giant moat around it. You build a really strong perimeter, your firewalls, all that good stuff, to keep the bad actors out and keep everything important safe inside. Simple, right? And for a long time, it worked.
Yeah, well, that world is gone. It is completely changed. We used to have these big, clunky systems, kind of like one big, solid building. It was pretty easy to guard the front door. But now, we live in a world of cloud-native apps. It's not one big building anymore. It's more like a bustling city full of thousands of tiny, interconnected services. And, get this, autonomous AI agents running around doing their own thing. So here's the kicker. The perimeter? It's gone. The castle walls have basically just melted away.
And with this new setup, you get a whole new set of nightmares to worry about. It's not about someone breaking down the front door anymore. Now, an attacker could subtly poison the data your AI is learning from. Or they could hijack the tools and plugins it uses. And maybe the scariest part? The AI could just go rogue. Not because of a hacker, but just because its goals got a little mixed up. It could start causing chaos all on its own.
Okay, so this massive shift means we need a new way of thinking. This brings us to the core idea here, the difference between monitoring and observability. And it's a big one. It's the difference between just having eyes and actually being able to see what's going on. So let's start with what we all know, monitoring. This is the old way of doing things. It's totally reactive. You're basically just checking for problems you already know to look for. Think about a warning light in your car. All monitoring can really tell you is a simple yes or no to the question, is the system working as expected? Observability, though, is something completely different. It's on another level. It's not about looking for known problems. It's about having the power to understand the unknown unknowns, the problems you could never have predicted. It lets you ask much, much smarter questions, like, wait, what is actually happening deep inside my system right now, and why?
And I love this analogy because it makes it so clear. Monitoring is like being a pilot and just looking at the dashboard. You see a red light blinking, okay, great, something's wrong. But observability, that's like having the black box flight recorder. It lets you replay the entire flight. You can see the weather, what the pilot was doing, the engine performance, everything. So you know exactly why that light started blinking in the first place.
And look, this isn't just some academic debate. The numbers are pretty scary. A staggering 44% of top security officers are openly admitting that their current toolset, well, it's just not good enough. They have massive blind spots, and they can't reliably detect data breaches. It's a huge admission that the old way is broken.
So what's the result of this huge visibility gap? Well, it's a very human problem called alert fatigue. And if you talk to anyone in a security operations center, they'll tell you it's their #1 headache. They are literally drowning in alerts from these old tools, and the vast majority of them are just false alarms. They're spending all their time chasing ghosts instead of finding the real bad guys.
Okay, so how does observability actually pull this off? How does it work its magic? Well, it's all about making the leap from just seeing correlations to actually understanding the cause. It really boils down to collecting and analyzing 3 key types of data, which we call telemetry. First up, you've got your metrics. These are just numbers over time. Think CPU usage. Then you've got logs. These are like a diary for your system, time-stamped records of every little thing that happened. And finally, and this one is super important, you have traces, which follow one single request on its entire journey through your complex system. Now, when you bring those 3 things together, that's where the magic happens. The old way, correlation, is pretty dumb, honestly. It just sees 2 things happening around the same time and screams, hey, look at this. But the new way, causation, is so much smarter. It takes all that rich data to understand the actual story. It can definitively say A happened and that caused B to happen. And that's how you slash the false positives and get straight to the root cause.
So, at the end of the day, here's what it all comes down to. Traditional monitoring, it gives you a fire hose of alerts with almost no context. It's all noise. Cyber observability does the opposite. It quiets everything down and gives you just a few high-quality alerts, but each one is packed with the context you need to act. It's all about finding the signal in the noise. Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how does a real organization actually get there? Well, that's what we're going to cover in our final section, the path to mastery.
And look, it's really important to understand this isn't an overnight thing. You don't just flip a switch and have observability. It's a journey. You start at level 0, the foundation, just getting basic visibility. Then you graduate to level 1, which is reactive. You've got basic alerting. Level 2 is where things get interesting. You become proactive, actively hunting for threats. And then the ultimate goal, level 3, mastery. Here, you're not just reacting, you're predicting threats before they happen.
So we'll leave you with this one final thought. In this wild new world of autonomous AI, it's just not enough to say your security has eyes. The real question is, can it actually see? Can it connect all the dots and understand the full story? Can it show you what's coming before it's already too late?